Yes. Yeah. But so I wanted to highlight you to help us to highlight the things that you think the current government has done well or not well in order to help the people of the region. I know you have said that the president himself has said that the region has been kept behind and poor to the extent that he doesn't understand what is causing it. So I was asking the questions to kind of help us to understand what's going on there and you know, highlight those achievements or lack thereof.
Actually, I can answer like the one before you goes a little bit.
So then much.
You know,
loud a little bit.
You know, dictators lure a nation first of all by crippling the economy. Because once they cripple the economy, they have crippled not like your legs to complain about as a thing. Because once you don't have food, once you don't have money in the pocket, you will be thinking how to survive. You won't be thinking how to go into politics. In fact, the politicians will become like kings. They will be like your gods. So Museveni managed to cripple, for example, Soga economically, because literally the biggest percentage of Ugandans are peasants. When we say peasants, these are people that earn a living through practicing subsistence farming, growing some little bit of coffee, growing a little bit of cash crops. And that's how our families were surviving from 80s, 90s. That's how they were surviving. But when he came in power, he realized like the most developed area in Uganda that was close to Uganda, like the economy, the engine of the economy of Uganda was Jinja and central Uganda, because that's where most people settled, and that's where the most line of business is, the loads from Kenya and everything. So he knew once he proposed the Basoga, because their only source of income was agriculture. Bring a cash crop, put incentives, encourage them to commercially grow it. Then once they have localized it and everybody is growing it, crash the market. That's how he did it. And once you've done that, education is gonna collapse, infrastructure will collapse, and the schools will collapse. And another reason is some regions have been able to develop not because they are hardworking. No, they are not hardworking more than they were so, but they have been lucky that they have been in power in a system that is characterized by stealing. When people from northern Uganda were in power, they had many generals because they were recruiting themselves in the national army. They were stealing. They gave themselves scholarships to study. Most of them were doctors, professors, and they accumulated wealth, not because they were hardworking, but they were stealing national funds in the name of running the government. When you come to central Uganda, Uganda has only survived economically because in the center, most of the people that are stealing, after stealing, they spend their money in Kampala. And because Uganda might have a relative, a brother with a house in Kampala or land he has sold, that's how they have survived a little bit. Because of the commercial city, the circulation of money, they end up getting some tokens. Western Uganda, before Museveni came in power, our brothers and sisters in Western Uganda were peasants. Cattle keeping, grazing, and everything. They have been economically empowered because by default, milk and banana has not lost market like sugar cane. Reason being, the people around Museveni in the army, they are the one owning those businesses of banana, milk, big farms, so they cannot crush those corporations. That's why you see like we have Diary Corporation of Uganda. Well structured, but there's no sugar cooperation, like there is no cooperation for coffee. Those ones are not there, but we have the one for there. Because it's those journals working with a few of them, they are owning that entity. So they can't let it crack. I don't know where's that person.
Let me, guys, as a sugarcane farmer, large scale, I'm not going to disagree with and what he's saying. The fact is, if you don't have more than 15 hectares of land, don't...
Just a minute, you're doing sugarcane back home?
Yes.
Okay.
I have over 70 hectares. At one time I had 100, but the disruptions in the market, there was a period between 2020 and I believe 2015 where we went for 2 seasons where we couldn't sell. So a lot of people ended up running out of the market. But at the beginning, those that got in early, I will tell you, we made money.
When it just came?
When it just came out, we made money. Now, in Busoga, we had a lot of grass-thatched houses. When Busoga went into sugarcane, and the market was fair, it was a fair playing field. Yeah. People made money. But when the middleman came in, and you know how Museveni rules us. Museveni rules us by making us poor. So once he realizes that people are getting some money, he will go to the heart, which are the business owners, the Madivans and whoever, and he said this is what you have to do. So that was a huge problem. But again, I'm just saying that
champagne time.
To grow food for your family, don't go.
Nange bakampe wano champagne.
Wabisabo mu convention revenge.
And
Obyogeire.
Thank you very much. And that is another takeaway, that if you don't have land, and you know, for us, we speak for those who don't have land. Uganda's economy is more of now. For example, in Busoga, to find a human being with 2 acres of land is not easy. Now, then it was easy. People owned big chunks of land. Today, people don't have land. That is another factor. So I entirely agree with you that probably for where it is, where you are working on a huge scale, and then also you have an advantage. Man, nazokoze bulungi. Bakusomesa bukala muri mwana wa idinda.
Tufukamira. Oh really? Yeah, we knew. Yeah, they knew.
Oh, we thought Baganda
Baganda, they both the men and the women knew. Yeah, but in Busoga,
only women.
really?
But do you know what that means?
Generations
so, Mr. Vice, I wanted to
Yes, sir.
Controlling or letting.
Yes, sir.
I will ask a question in both Busoga and in Busoga. So, I have noticed that NP is so good with social media. How best can you use it to promote entrepreneurship? Let me give you an example. People were suffering at the airport, and you did a very good job putting these people out. We have a case which is going on, whereby they are taking these guys from Wafam and they are giving it to Russian company. So, how best can NUP increase? Because it's doing very well with social media, and there are some policies forcing them to take. when it comes to entrepreneurs, because these people are doing it and they're not putting up so. I never the factory I am glad Bojayo enumba dona badi Swali kulu emotoka abasaga Uganda Budondo Namulesa baba nga n'emmotoka taxi ne bus physically. So in this case like that of Papa, how best can we increase exposure? And then there is also security risk. How do you get a foreigner to run this thing, even with Afile himself who is a major, so the weakness which is there. So we should capitalize on that. Just as we capitalize on the airport, and we continue capitalizing whatever mistakes they make. Because they are making too many mistakes.
You have a social.
But at the same time, you are helping people very well.
Upstairs.
Like you did with the people in South
Even this trash.
Everywhere you have tried to help where the government is making a mess. But you are using social media more powerful than even a gun. So we applaud you for doing that. But we want it to continue. For example, especially like the issue of number plates. Why do you make number plates from abroad? So your social media is so strong that if one blogger, the one in Kampala, the one in, and if Mr. Weiser goes on there and puts his points together, they actually go back and then try to reflect on that. So we really applaud you to promote local entrepreneurs and any cause through the social media and multiply it so that it has multiplier effects everywhere.
Thank you. I cannot agree more. Yes, we don't also want to have so many assignments because we have a mission to remove the problem.
Yes.
We don't want to be diverted by the many things because even those small things we have done, it has been, we have met high level resistance. You know, Sir Kenya lost his life because of giving out food in COVID. He was thoroughly beaten because of being the option. Sometimes when we come out and do certain things, of course, you will always face the negative propaganda, even when you're doing right. That is also a fact of life. But we find a lot of resistance sometimes, even to implement certain things. During COVID, we had Ugandans stranded in China. And blacks stranded in China. Other countries intervened. Our country failed to intervene, and the president used his connections here in America with the plane company. I'm now forgetting, was Black Star something. And they were willing to give us a plane to get Ugandans from China to Uganda. Fully facilitated. They refused. Not even to land them in Kenya because a government has a lot of connectivity. You know, they have a lot of influence. So I have not yet taken, but let me test first, then I will call for some, because I don't want to end my conversation early. As either being under the influence of alcohol or fully influenced by alcohol. Because it is a long time I haven't taken a sip, but I'm enticed by the fire. So I am agreeable to that. We use social media as the other gun that the dictator cannot stop. That's why now in Uganda there's no Facebook. Although we use it, even the people who removed it use it. You know, that defines the people you have. You know, Museveni removed Facebook, but he also runs his accounts on VPN. You can imagine, he goes through the system of cheating to be on Facebook. Cheating him, his own policy. You know? It's funny but true.
You have to stop the speech, my brother.
webale nnyo ssebo okujja.
To answer some of our questions, enkuŋŋaano did not sobera. First and foremost, ntono. Secondly, bwe dibaawo otandika n'okubuuza kikyenja okubuuza. Omala okyogeraku ne mukyala we yakoba ati munajjaayo olina okubuuza because bwe twedda kutuuka butuuka eyo osirike kale ndikiriza mbuuze bubuuze. Eddo Max ndagifuneka mu ngeri yange. So okay. Sure.
Then at radio over answer and you will phone Max nti nakuwa answer.
Yes, at least when you it might not require an answer, but probably you'll find a better way to answer. One of the things that really you look at our current situation, and one of the things that I think cripple our country is the burden of the administration on the meager income Uganda gets. I mean, from the taxes, let me say, we collect taxes so that the government can do the work, public service, equip the hospitals, whatever goes in that line. Unfortunately, after collecting all these funds, what's happening is that, and probably which has led Museveni's leadership stay longer, is just to pretend that you're engaging everyone just because you're issuing out positions to everyone who comes around. And instead of people working real work to contribute to the national cake, they're given salaries because they earn positions. Sometimes which positions are dormant. There are so many examples of those, like the advisors that advise him. The guy who are called the advisors, actually, he advises them. So, what do you look at? And these are the questions that we keep asking ourselves. How is it going to be different? Because even in a new leadership, the burdens will still continue until something changes. You're mobilizing right now. How are you going to convince all the people that have coming on board and mobilizing into you know, just like the status quo, into that position? Because this is too many on our people. For us, we have examples. We live in these small cities here. When you look at the administration of the city, just very few people, and they do a good job. They sit, they pass budgets, and they really implement. You don't need a big leadership group to actually deliver the services. What is happening right now? You look at the administration, okay, how many people are representing Uganda? So many. They take the money that is supposed to build even latrines. I mean, I'll talk about latrines because maybe we don't even have water, running water in Uganda. Where it is, constructing those toilets becomes very expensive, so they continue using latrines. But right now, because there are so many leaders just looking at the taxes that we pay to pay the administrators, the services are not delivered. How do you look at it differently? How are you going to do it differently to reduce the staff of leadership and still retain the support of the people without the people claiming we fought, I was behind you, did this other position? It's a challenge. I don't know, I think we might not answer it right now, but these are the things that we think about and we say, all right.
If I may, let me break it for you and give you the figures. We have 560 MPs.
And growing.
And growing because of gerrymandering. What Museveni does, because he now knows that people don't like him, every clan village that can have an MP known to him is a constituency. The constitution says that wherever there are 100,000 people, it will be a constituency. But there are constituencies with even 1,500 people, for as long as you are close to 7. This Minnesota is where this woman comes from, the daughter of Tess, right? If I'm not mistaken.
She lives in the neighborhood.
You're right here, next.
Yes, at least I have those facts. Shatsi. You all know that Shatsi, they created the constituency for themselves. Though he was replacing a father, but they made it smaller. Maogola. Such that it is family. Okay? And that continues in all parts. Now, Shatsi competed with the father called Sodo. And you know where that all went? Today they are looking for where to put Sodo, such that Sodo does not disturb. You get my point. Later on, one of the brothers or sisters influenced, still using government influence in administration. Siju is an ambassador, Simanyo of which third world country. Now we have a problem of a cabal, a group of the same people, father, son, in-law, mother, and that is why we are fighting with the top regime, because a dictatorship works like that. They can no longer trust anybody. That Kutesa leaving that constituency could not even trust Sodo, a brother to Museveni, but the daughter, for his interests to be fulfilled. If you look at what she has done in the last 3 years she has been in parliament, there's nothing. I was in Maogola personally. Nothing completely. It is just satisfying her ego that she's now an MP. And maybe later she will be negotiated to be a minister. So the issue of public administration, I don't even want to limit it to political administration. We have parastatals, statutory institutions that are a reward to family members. You have the Civil Aviation Authority, then they will bring you the Plane Management Authority, you have the road, UNRA, then you have works. There's duplication. But that duplication is not for the Ugandans, it is for particularly family members, source of employment, family members, and money laundering. So the problem is the dictatorship. That's why we have a big expenditure on public administration. 60% of our national budget goes to paying salaries of the administrators. The ministers, we have 80.
How many?
80.
80?
Yes.
Ministers?
Yes.
What is the population of Uganda?
40 million.
40 million. We're 80 ministers.
Yes.
That is state.
More than the United States.
Now,
so it's like every household has a minister.
Every village.
but have you heard the number of MPs?
No.
500 and about 60. And we are still counting. I'm sure by the next parliament shall have about 700. Now in parliament they sit like this. And they only come when there is something to pass for the dictator. Because to pass something they give them 5 million. You know, to lift the term limit. Lifting of term limit meant breaking the constitution and giving himself an opportunity to run for more years like he has run now. The MPs were paid $1,500 US. I think that is what makes 5 million.
Yes.
Yeah?
About that.
About 1,000. Just imagine a leader being paid $1,500 US. Some of you don't even make that money a week. It is too little. If it is going to be given to you, you run away. But in Uganda, the MP in Uganda who earns 20 million per month was bribed to change the constitution at 1,500 US dollars. And I'm talking about the value of now, because then it would have even been lesser. So we have a big challenge, but the challenge also comes from the other bigger problem. You see, for me, I am among those who identified the disease of Uganda. Uganda is sick. It has a serious disease. And it took time people to understand the disease, but the disease is Museveni. The disease, whether you want it or not, is Museveni. First of all, he has postured that he knows everything. That for him on this world is a Rubambensi, next to God. He knows everything. You can't ask. He said that publicly to the CNN journalist. I would invite you to go and watch him. He said, you see, there are little things I don't know about this world. And my grandfather was asking, what has Museveni done good? I wanted to tell him that what Museveni has done good is being consistent at whatever he's doing in oppressing Ugandans. That he has been committed and consistent. And I can give him credit for that. That's why he has gone up 38 years, being consistent with deceit to Ugandans to have them prosper. So there is no way you will change Uganda minus working on public administration. There are leaders who have done such work. Ghana, the neighbor to our people here, jail Orings, phenomenal. I am one of those who subscribe her. I don't know, as a leader, there's certain language I may not use, but I subscribe to the Jolorings method of toning down the public administration. Some of them must be taken 6 by 6 to be examples. To be examples, because otherwise you're going to have a civil war within your country with those who have amassed a lot of wealth and don't want to leave their positions. You had the chairperson of the Uganda Bureau of Statistics had to bribe the members of the board 100 million shillings to maintain his contract. When he came out and said that he gave them the 100 million, he has now been arrested for telling the truth. Because those who are sitting there are very powerful in corruption. They are connected to the first family, so there's nothing you can tell them. So the burden is the first family. That is why when you even go out there and look out to the systems are against the people. Entrepreneurship, as I was saying, Wavamuno is the one who is making the number plates today. They have just added a simple thing that a number plate should have a camera. First of all, it is unheard of. Not even in America are there number plates with cameras. This is
what is the camera supposed to be filming or recording?
Now to stop people from dying.
Oh.
So, they are murdering you. There is murder in Uganda, unsolved murders. So the old man was convinced that those murders, first of all, they told him we must have cameras in the countryside and all over. So we spent over 500 million US dollars procuring cameras that we have proved today that they don't work. So they told him now, no, you need cameras on what? Motorbikes, such that the bike that drives the murderer is identified on the camera. He does not even know that somebody can buy that number plate. On the day he's going to murder, he removes the camera. For him, he believes that once he puts the number plate, it is there. The company in Russia has never existed. There's no company that has ever done such a job. The people they have been talking to are Mercedes. They learned massaging people, but they are Russians. So they bring their faces and they posture them as the same. So the issue of the public administration is one we cannot, if you want to change your country, you cannot maintain that public administration. You just had our comrade from Cameroon lost in wonderment whether every family has a minister. But then I am sure none of you here has a relation with a minister.
I heard.
You here no longer have.
And on that note, allow me. And on that note, and this is for my mother, because she's an NRM diehard anti-Baba. She sleeps, that's what she says. We always have our small arguments. I had, I should call him an uncle of mine. must know him. He's Moses Chintun. Very brilliant man. Today, you speak like Moses Chintun. I was speaking to my all being Kaida and says, this gentleman is very bright, he's very brilliant, you should come and listen to him. I said, oh, now I remember my uncle and my question. And this is a conversation I'm still going to have with my mother. Museveni is very
Cunning.
And every time young, zealous individuals come in our community and they're outspoken, they're eloquent, they can dissect issues, within no time they turn
and from Wenda.
I have a lot of hobbies of mine. Many of them who started not as NRM and then they found themselves in NRM. Some of them were selected because of their good looks. And right now they are NRM, is enjoying things in there. How about you? And I don't know if it's even a question for you. How are you going to, because we're all here to see, and maybe next time we'll be asking you the same question, what happened to you? What guarantees or what kind of tricks do you have to defend your integrity, not to fall under the same trap? You're speaking out. I admire your brevity, your great ideas, but the machine is now going to look at you. And I'm here asking myself, is the story that we've seen going to repeat itself to our Mr. Mfumbiro? How are you going to survive? How do you think you're going to survive the lures that are put in front of you? Some of them are monetary, and some of our young people have found themselves just locked into there because they have loans and you have nothing to do but just cross over or join the thieves, join the oppressor, and you still impoverish your people. What confidence do you give our members here? And these are the things that really hurt us, because most of us here, we have our obvious colleagues and they've been outspoken, and at one moment they were really representing our things that hurt us. And all of a sudden, they're not there for us. And many of us, because we are even very far, we detach ourselves from the system. Not because we like, but it hurts even to think about it. It hurts to think about my uncle who doesn't have cassava for his meals, but he has a shamba of sugar canes. Looking at him as if he can feed on sugar canes and he gets the nutrition he needs. It hurts us to see that.
Manambo jatuliamu lukwe.
First of all, I think when I say I will not, it is what people have said. So convincing you that I will not is also another tall order. But for me, I am driven by the pain. I am driven by the pain of our people. Let me give you an example. And this is personal now. I'm a twin. My brother Kato is an accountant by profession. He did not only end at being an accountant, but then he went further to be a certified accountant. His job is to organize events and MC them. Okay? The one who follows him, okay, that one is an advocate, but is also self-reliant. The one who follows Chiza did business administration and information technology in India. And he passed with the first class. He's jobless. And I would go on and on and on. Now I would be very saying if my personal achievement influences my decision. Now if I am a son of a retired judicial officer, one who would have been a judge but was not appointed because his firstborn is so vocal against the status quo, so he was forced into early retirement. That would not be a problem because he should also have time to rest. And I believe it will give him more years to live, and I see him than when he was working for this regime, moving from one district to the other in the worst forms of working because he does not come from the West. Leaving that aside, personally, I don't know whether this will be braggative, but I'm not living from a disadvantaged point. Today I'm in America. I've been here for about a month. These are dreams of very many people. But I'm not here on my own pocket. I am here because of the power of the people. The people invited me. The people have funded this trip. They have enabled me have contact, like I'm having contact here. It will be a fool of me not to realize the love of the people. I want to be as simple in giving this answer as I understand it, such that you judge maybe in future or now. So for me, even the love of the people to what we stand for is enough to make me understand. It's not that I'm intelligent. I am not intelligent as people would want to say, but I am standing for what others have failed to stand for and yet many believe in. I mean, all of the interactions I've had here, people say, you know what, I follow you because on this show, the questions they were asking, the answers you gave were the answers I would have given. Yesterday nasanze omwana Colorado nangamba nti there are times when I'm on radio ng'avuga natukaye yagia nti naye aba ina answer nga naye ajogera naye agenda okuwulira nga gye njogedde ng'ayongeramu nti gia. Now for me that touches me more than anything one would ever give me. I can tell you, even in Uganda, we are not so much in the public because of the love of the people. If you enter a restaurant, before you know it, some person is paying your bill. Not because of anything, but because you're standing for the right cause. We are facing a reality, whether we like it or not, we are facing it, and there must be people to be at the front line to solve the issues that have been the consequences brought by the reality. And I think that is why I said it is a generational cause. Many of our colleagues, they look at the incomes, they look at the software of life. Apparently, I don't have a job now because it is very hard to fight and have a job. We committed to doing this quick and doing it very quick. So that's why we put everything aside to roll this all out. But I can tell you, if I switched on my phone, MTN, because even in America it is working, all the calls you will receive are calls of help. I don't have a job. But my position as Deputy Spokesperson gives an impression to all those other people that now that one, because of the despair, now that I've even come to America, it is worse. If I dare to say that I'm coming on the 12th back to Kampala, I can have nearly a whole village waiting for me to receive their own from America, of course with expectations that you have all got when you come back to Uganda. So for me, I am driven by the reality of what is back home, not by my personal, because as I have said, I mean, I would have decided that, you know what, with what is happening in Uganda, ladies and gentlemen, please organize for me. I'm staying in America. But we decided to be on the front line, and we believe we should not betray the people who have given us the opportunity and the nation to fight. But above all, God is the Alpha and Omega. Keep us in prayer.
Amen.
Keep us in prayer, because temptations are to humans are weak, and all of us have points of weaknesses. But he has done enough atrocities to some of us that the price can no longer be a position, the price can no longer be sums of money, because how much are you going to buy my conscience? Yes, many people have said this and they have changed. Me, I was working with Norbert Mao. I still sleep and dream that it is not true.
It is.
You know, other leaders, they have gone, I understand, I have not. But Mao, Norbert Mao would explain the atrocities committed to the northern people. But yesterday I saw him saying that they should not force him into joining NRM. Simply saying I have joined, but I will be giving the analogy that I was forced into leaving the Democratic Party. So even prayer works. Pray for us who are at the front line, such that we are not wicked or driven by the satanic principles, but maintaining the godless stance of liberating our people. But also let me tell you, Tetuliba bulijjo, Museveni is facing another lot of group of people. He has brought his man and we have chased it. He has brought it, that is a fact. I mean, if he managed to convince me, it would be one of the greatest news he would have had. But he even fears to suggest to me, because he knows the reply I would give to him. I believe he knows. So that is how best I think I can reply that question. But prayers are not leaving us isolated as we are on the front line. You see, if you leave us isolated, people begin to think that they are the Alpha and Omega. We should always remind our leaders at the front line that this is reality, and the advantage we are anchored by people power, but most importantly, we should be judged by our actions. For me, I've told the people that I'm not good at many things, but probably God gave me a loud voice to say what other people tell me to say. So the day I stop saying what you have asked me to say, please caution me and understand that where I am going is not right. Attack me with all the wrath you have, such that I realize and get back to order. But I want to promise you, Alex Waisam from below here will be on the side of history, of the few who stood day and night, years and months, in liberating Museveni. I was in a worse situation years ago. There are times when we opposed Museveni, when we could not even see where we are going. People saw us as mad people. My mother could always tell me, she gave birth to me, she knew that she had now finished, the firstborn will be a judge. I even went through the system, did the law profession. Then they were always praying that now kati omwana alabika akoze ki amaze. Today I'm in business, which is not business. And but I believe in it more than I believe in having my personal satisfaction, because as a matter of fact, you are in America, but you spend, I'm sure, 50 or 60% of your hard-earned earnings back home. That also happens to anybody who goes to government. If they gave me $1 billion shillings today, for example, I would need to have a home worth a person who has crossed from the oppressed to those who are okay. That home would cost how much? $500 million. That is if I have gone to as far as Nassau. Because, but at my level, if you are telling me to cross, then take me to Kololo. And they cannot give me man of Kololo because the Muwezis is where they stay. So at the end of the day, it is about not being materialistic. And I have also been around to see those working with the dictator, how they have ended up. For me, I'm alive to that. I have seen my friends I don't want to say that I don't have them. I told you that one of my greatest, closest friends was Chibuli, Ronald Chibuli. I have said that publicly. I know where he is now and what he says. We have discussions sometimes and I listen to him very carefully to know what he's saying. And I know he's at pain. I have seen those who have come from our side and joined him, how he has put, from the times of the Agura Waris. Agura Wari, when he was crossing, he said, if you can't defeat them, join them, such that you defeat them from inside. We buried him before defeating them from inside, and he had already been chased out of their system.
Whoa.
Museveni is like a man who elopes with a married woman. He never wants that woman to move out of the marriage. Because if the woman moves out of the marriage, responsibility is bestowed to him. So I believe that is how I understand him. That guides me not to be near him. But even the fact that I no longer see him the way many people see him. Some people have a certain facade that they see with Museveni. You know, we grew up when they were giving all those lies against him, that he became a fly, he became a polythene bag, he was what? Now many people, many people grew up with that, that image of a person who is not a person. A human being who's not a human being, a magic human being. It was all fallacy. After time, with our generation, we know those were all propaganda lies. And I think that informs my stance against him. I want to write that history, that we defeated the monster. And that guides me more formidably, my brother. That's how I can. I hope I have reached a percentage of it.
I want to know whether you have any plans to stand for a position like a member of parliament in the coming election or not?
No. He's not from my constituency.
I have stood for MP twice and I've terribly lost. One time I said, but why am I losing? Am I speaking things far from what people understand? But of course I know. I'm always isolated in those elections because I come with a different type of personality. I don't give out money. I want to teach the people to understand what we are doing. I've also not accumulated the money people use in elections. People use over 500 million shillings to win an election. I have not had that money. Secondly, I am among those that may not be declared because of my stance against them. They call me an extremist and a radical one. They believe if I went to parliament, I would probably get the parliamentary mess and hit it the speaker. So I'm not a palatable human being in the politics of Uganda, especially representation by the state. But also, I am trying to avoid my energy in thinking about 2026. Although the background I've told you shows you that I want to represent people. So I have the urge to represent my people. I do have it. I have that urge, and if God gave me the opportunity for my people to see a different type of service, I would be glad. But I'm also informed by the challenges we have that we cannot wait for 2026. That is why we are working extremely hard to see something happen before that time, although it looks closer. Now that takes me to the straight answer. I will cross the river when I reach the bridge. At this time, I am focusing my energy that we do it fast. As I've told you, that the longevity of the struggle creates complacence, and that complacence is what I don't want to fall into. Where you think you know too much, where you think you have convinced many people on your side, and therefore you can come and tell them any story and they move along with you. That has affected most of our leaders. But yes, I would want to represent my people. I look at it, I think about it, but also I am scared of giving it time than rather giving time to to the disease we have identified, and the disease being Museveni. But with God being our helper, you never know. NUP might be the next organizer of the 2026 elections, and definitely I'll be on the ballot if that happens, without test.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Where you stood, was it, back home, your home villages? Or?
I've been going back in the village, and this time I was thinking that if I'm stand, I should not even go where I was, because that is more of a suburb. I should further take the message for liberation to the farthest of my village, that is Luuka. Because I believe if I don't go to the farthest of the village, who will go there? Because there's also, I have used those elections as a platform to pass on a message. I started when I was very young. First I started in Jinja East, because there was Naveta. Mwiru went through, I was happy. This other election I stood purposely to defeat Barieku. He's out of parliament. I am glad, though I did not make it, the FDC guy made it, because he was domiciled back home. They had a lot of money, and there was a planned move by both FDC and NRM that where there is a strong NUP candidate like Waiswa, the FDC candidate should be declared. So, yeah, there has been unfairness on my part, but it's something we're looking at. But most probably I want to represent my people back home. But then we are anchored on people power. The people can say, don't go back home. We want you here. And I will listen always to the voices of the people of Uganda. Yeah, possibly in Kampala if they say so. But my desire and love would be to represent the people of Muka.
So, thank you very much for addressing him. I think that was really put to rest. My question is about gerrymandering, which you mentioned a little bit, and we understand that they can put up many constituencies in a matter of one session of parliament, or I don't know the proceedings how they do it, but what I understand is that there is a rumor that the next presidential candidate might be elected by members of parliament, and the government has a strong point there where they have NRM as a party can organize and have many constituencies which they can read, they can do whatever they want and win them, so that they will have a lot more members of parliament. Not that it's fair or it's the right thing to do, but you kind of answered the question there. You said that we don't want to wait until 2026. And so I don't know if you can throw more light on that, so that, it looks like if they do that we might lose. If they continue adding those constituencies and then they change the constitution so that the president of Uganda is elected by parliament, not by the people of Uganda.
The last election addressed Genome 7, and Genome 7 is now coming to 80 years. He's tired of being asked questions by the people, because he feels a sense of entitlement that he has been president for 38 years. Those asking, because the old people can no longer ask the questions. That is a fact. So it is us, the young ones, asking. So as you're asking, he's wondering now, this is why he's asking me. Why does he ask me such a question? He identifies me as a Muzukuru who has been under his regime. He believes I have grown up under his mercy of being president. I don't know why. So we have that as a challenge. So he's tired of facing a population against him. Because as a matter of fact, the population is tired of him. He feels it, he sees it, he smells it, he sleeps it. So they find ways of how he can be president, have a senile presidency voted by a few wood rats. I call them so because, as I said, they have turned the constitution at $1,500. Will he do that? Yes, he can if he wants. What is my take on that? Me, I want Museveni to do everything he wants to do to Uganda, such that one, Ugandans realize that he's a liar, that he's a bad man, and maybe they will rise up accordingly. Sometimes we, as leaders, we also get tired of saying the same thing and being questioned why he has not left, because sometimes he plays the appeasement card, where he comes and camouflages. These days, if you listen to General Museveni, he speaks as if he's the opposition leader, as if he has just joined the government. But he has been around for 40 years. And that tiresomeness he is facing has led him think that he can confuse the public with his drunkard son. Now saying drunkard with champagne close. So I think that Ugandans will face more. You know, when a dictator is at his weakest, he does everything he has to do to maintain power. But then whenever he does everything he has to do to maintain power, it exposes his weakness and also enlightens the population and leads to that civil uprising that we are badly desirous of, that some of you are about even to ask. So for me, I am not scared of whatever motive he brings. We will face it the way he brings it, because he's already an outlaw. You know, we are facing resistors. They came with the ideology of national resistance army to resist the population. When they turned, they became the national resistance movement. So their ideology of being resistors against the populace is one on the foundation of their liberation struggle. So for me, I believe that whether he comes as a cat or a rat or a dog, he's up for we are up for the task. Thank you. Yes, dear. Oh, that's beautiful. Let us take a record that the first female question is here.
Yeah, you stated that Museveni has a gun, he has money, and you have the population, the youth, which is a big number. How you plan to win this guy? Just by talking and having a big number, and he's playing his game just buying time because he's good at that. How do you keep on doing this, just talking and convincing people and just make the noise, and then we take over Museveni? And another question is, if you take over leadership, how are you planning to change the mindset of people? Because it looks like the whole government is corrupt. The child who was born yesterday is corrupt. How are you going to change this in order to have a smooth government?
Mindset change is going to take us a lot of time, because the truth is, in Uganda, we have a problem of the mind. I have given you an example. I came here and I went to a club where I've discovered that you have time limits of 1 a.m., other places 2 a.m., but there is nowhere they allow up to morning, right? Yes. Maybe in Vegas, I'm yet to know.
Yes,
yeah, maybe in Vegas, because that one is known to be a party place. So if you go there, you're going to party. So we have to struggle with mindset change. It will take us a lot of time. That is why in the beginning of my submission, I told you that we will not benefit, our generation will not benefit from the liberation. We will only benefit from being liberators, but not from the liberation. Why? We have a huge task to improve. That is why I quoted J. Lawrence. I was exactly the personality of J. Lawrence. If you have read about what he did, that is how extreme I believe we should do. Some people must be RIP to have the mindset change. I believe in the strategy of J. Lawrence on the matter of mindset change. Strict accountability for every person who has been given office. But that accountability does not begin when you are in power. It begins now. I was sent here and invited by Minneapolis to come and do this job. There are people who come here and they don't do the job why what has brought them, and they get into other business. But we try to be accountable to the people because we are people power. For the first time, Uganda has a movement not ignited by elites, not started in the boardroom, but managed from the street. That is why we have a person from the ghetto leading, not because he's the wisest, but because we wanted to change the status quo. Having seen those who are very elite, yes, I am an elite, but it was important that we change our modus operandi. I don't want to promise roses because we work still with human beings, but it takes a strong leader, it takes policy, and it takes deliberate, consistent approach to having our people change the mindset. The education must change, the circle of academia must change, you must include patriotic stance, and I think we have an advantage in Kyagulanyi because the people listen to him. You know, when you have a leader, for example, that is why Museveni has been a disservice. When Museveni took power, he told you, many of you, some of you, to change your money. 1 million became 7,000, right? Because he had the love of the people. People had trust in this man. Whatever he said, you accepted. So if you have a strong leader, acceptable at such a time, and he has the willingness and deliberate determination to change the mindset, it can happen, without a doubt. And the background of Rome not being built in a day, we should use that as when we are in power, as long as we are consistent, formidable, and also honest to the cause as to why we have struggled to liberate our country. You have asked me a very important question. Does making noise, rallying youth, speeches, Otto von Bismarck.
Can I reply to that?
Let me finish and I'll give you a supplement, my brother. Otto von Bismarck said that the great questions of the day shall not be determined by great speeches, words, but by blood and iron. And that was at the unification of Germany. I fully subscribe to blood and iron in that quote. I thank you. My brother, supplement that.
I would like to reply to Madam. So I'm 27 years old and I grew up in Greece. I left Uganda when my dad was shot back in 2004. I was really young, very young, to witness that they killed my aunt. They killed my uncle with 37 bullets. They ripped off his legs. And my dad survived by the grace of God. And after that, once we moved to Greece, I almost lost my faith. Though my dad is a priest, I almost lost my faith. I lost any hope in African politics. I'm not a politician. I really didn't bother to get to know what's happening back in my country. But I remember when His Excellency Bobby Wine, he came into politics back in 2016, if I remember well, or 18.
I have not taken
I was outside, I was studying, and how did I get to know about this, the movement, the people power? Though I like in Greece, people don't do this, they don't come together. And that's what I was telling Mr. Alex, that this thing has to happen more often, because I was in Greece, I never saw such a thing happening. But how did I get to know about people power? Through social media. You know how social media is powerful? They post something on Facebook, that thing is moving in like just a blink of an eye. And that's how I got to know I informed my fellow students about what is happening, and when the petitions were like put out for everyone to sign sanctions about what was going on, I myself managed to convince 2,000 students, non-Ugandans, to sign. So it is not about talking. Talking does help. It's passing the information. If the information is passed, like, how will you know that something is happening to you in Uganda when you're not informed? This is not like making noise. It's informing people. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you very
I
much.
want to add on. I'm sorry, because
Please.
you offered to him to.
Please.
Yeah. So what the National Unity Platform has done, there are many things, but among which the most important is that they have taken the dictator and the entire group of people to the ICC, making them accountable for the killings that took place in Kasese. Over 100 people were killed, and we know that right before the elections they also killed another 100 people. And so they have provided evidence to the ICC, and now the changes, the impact of this is so huge that even if the indictment, even if they are not indicted, the damages that have been done, the appearance to the world, the way that it looks, that these are the atrocities that Museveni government has done in Uganda. That's enough image. They have killed that image of a good guy leading Uganda. So I guess the point is that you have seen that the principal was able to go to Jinja without any tear gas. And that was part of that was the impact that the ICC case has done. You also noticed that the case with the ICC has impacted what the government can do to the people in terms of killing them and all the other things that they do to the people. So it is not just a matter of the noise that's coming out, but there are so many other things that are going on that are helping not only to spread the word, like you said, on social media and everywhere else, but also to make sure that this is not a legitimate government that we're dealing with. First of all, they lost the election, so it's an illegitimate government, and it's also oppressing the people. So yeah, I think you get the point that the ICC case is a major case, and at any point, if the president is indicted, he can be called and he can be put in prison anytime. Maybe that would be difficult, but you saw that Muhoozi himself, he was trying to come to America and he was denied a visa. Now the president's son to be denied a visa to come to America, that is a major statement, and that's all coming from what you call the noise. That is coming from right there. And a lot of others, you know, that are in the government that have oppressed the people, they have also been denied the visas to come to the US. And some of them will actually run out of politics. If you can't go to the UN, if you can't do certain things, it means that you can't really rule the country. So it's not noise, it's doing a lot of impact.
Yo, thank you. But I understand you. You just wanted to ask me that question. Do you have plans of fighting?
I mean,
I know you had that question in mind. You're only being polite and saying, you guys, is there something you are organizing? We are organizing, ma'am. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think you've known that I knew the question you are posing. I also don't want to commit here because I know what life is all about. You never know. I don't want to arrive at the airport and I'm being questioned, the meeting in Minneapolis at the fireside, where I said that people will hold guns on
I know.
It's only 1 minute up there that we are organizing.
I just have a question for everyone here. I took him to the George Floyd Memorial yesterday, right? We were there. But I'm just wondering how we all felt when George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis. How many of us went to the site? Okay.
I did.
So, for me, that's the whole thing about how I was able to come up with an idea to start this chapter, because I felt it like, how can we not care about Uganda when we were so much you are welcome.
Elvis could have allowed on to jail.
Yeah, right on there.
Okay.
Yes.
You see? For me, I've said, conquer the fear. Do not believe Museveni should not stop you from doing what is right. Museveni should not stop you from doing what is right. Number one. Like, for example, for us, we are defiant against what we think we should not do. Likewise, and I believe you being an American, it will be very difficult for them to do whatever they have to do to you. But Uganda is not safe as a nation. You may not run away from government and then you'll fall into the catastrophe that many of your colleagues have fallen into. Being identified as an American in Uganda is being rich. So it is an invitation to treat for those who want money when they have not worked. Because of the jungle that we are in. But I don't also want to distract you from coming back home. Because when you come back home, you get the grip of what we are saying. It's very important when you get to the grip of what we are saying and you understand it. Number two, we can only challenge and break criminality by exposing the criminality. Step at Entebbe, let them know your power. We have people power. Don't come without informing a few people. If you are extremely active into the party structure, let us know that you're coming. Okay. Then we definitely can't leave a soldier out there in the wind when anything has happened to you. We shall come out with all our people power force. We shall fight for you, and before you know it, you'll be bigger than you know. And I want to tell you, comrades, who are here on the front line, back home, just like you've been seeing me, we also see you. We revere you. We appreciate you. So nothing can happen to you and we don't turn stones upside down. I don't want to stop you from coming to Uganda. Please, if you can, come. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
mbadde nyakwongerezaako kino kanjogere mu Uganda. Waliwo point gye wagenze n'otubuulira wano n'ogamba n'ogamba mbu abantu fe abali mu diaspora eno tugezeeko nnyo kubanga tuweereza nnyo obuyambi awaka. Okiraba tuweereze ebigambo ebyo tuba tuweereza obuyambi obwo kubanga sometimes olina omuntu